When you read the newspapers, you hear that Nigeria came out of the recession in 2017. But in fact, that's not true. Nigeria's population growth rate is about 2.7%. In 2018, the economy grew at 1.9%, meaning per capita Nigerians are getting poorer. In fact, we got poor in 2015, we got a lot poorer in 2016, we got poorer in 2017, we got poorer in 2018, we're going to get poorer in 2019, and the IMF has predicted we'll get poorer and poorer per capita through 2022. So 8 years of declining income. So it's an urgent task for Nigerian policymakers and Nigerians to reverse this. And PwC Nigeria has been very vocal on some of the key policies that we need to be able to grow at least 6 to 8% to reduce poverty and alleviate unemployment, the terrible unemployment among youth. We also need to acknowledge that faster GDP growth is a necessary but not sufficient condition for Nigeria to improve. Our faster GDP growth also needs to be inclusive, with income gains spread deeply across society. As I said, PwC Nigeria has been quite vocal on policy changes that might help, and I don't want to dwell on these here. But what I can say is that Nigerian cannot become wealthier without a thriving and indeed incredible fintech ecosystem. To put this another way, many developed countries became wealthy with financial systems that we now view as completely antiquated. Traditional banking in the branch, high use of cash, including getting cash by 3 p.m. on Friday because otherwise you could not pay for anything on the weekend. Passbooks. You bought and sold paper stocks and bonds. I remember these days well. While I will not tell you my age here, I will tell you I graduated from high school in 1977, and I remember very well the introduction of the ATM as a monumental event. So in the past, for developed countries, it was possible to be prosperous without fintech. But this is not possible for Nigeria today. Given the immense population we have, the large geographical spread, the need to deliver financial services at very low cost given our low income levels, and the need to do this all quickly means that we cannot provide financial services in the traditional way and hope to prosper. It is simply impossible. Just as it would have been impossible to build a fixed-line telecommunication network in Nigeria, financial services have to leapfrog. Fortunately, Nigeria has been leapfrogging, and my answer is that we have a fantastic fintech ecosystem that has emerged and is evolving rapidly. So we have a thriving fintech ecosystem. I don't think there's any doubt about that, and we're gathering momentum, and it's a tribute to all of you here, all of the presenters, exhibitors here. But I think we have some challenges, so let me give 3 challenges that I think we need to think about. To begin with, the success of fintech is taking away from other innovations in Nigeria. In 2017, tech companies raised $110 million in Nigeria. Now, that's too small a number. We need to raise 5-10 times that amount every year. But of that amount, 75% of the money went to fintechs. And that's continuing through in 2018. Of course, fintechs need money, but I don't think it's a healthy innovation ecosystem when fintech is getting so much and people like health tech, clean tech, ag tech, ed tech are not getting enough. I mean, the reason this is happening, I think, is obvious to all of us. Fintech, by its nature, is something that is easily digitizable. The issue with, and the products in fintech are relatively well understood. The problem for ag tech, for ed tech, for clean tech is the products are complex, they involve the physical world like Jumia or Taxify, so more complex for investors. But we need innovation everywhere, not just in fintech. I think a second challenge for fintech in Nigeria right now is that we still pay too much attention to money transfer or payments. Of course, payments are crucial, And I listed out Pega, Paystack, Flutterwave, Interswitch, all payments companies. And we need a fantastic payment system and a fantastic payments ecosystem. But the reality is, at the end of the day, that the ability to invest money, the ability to loan money, the ability to save is just as critical or more critical for the financial health, for the prosperity of the country. So I'd like to see more balance when we think about fintech. To put this in context, we need the stock market capitalization to be about 20 to 25 times bigger than it is today, and only fintech is going to be able to provide that kind of growth. The other issue with the payments space is, to be honest, I think that the payment space is bringing us a problem. We have too much innovation in the payment space. We have too many different payment systems. And in fact, one of the things that's happening in this country is that because there's such many payment systems, some merchants are saying it's easier to go back to cash because I cannot cope with the multiplicity of payment systems. The third challenge for fintech is regulation. And I have to confess, I have enormous respect and sympathy for regulators in today's fintech world. The reality is that technology is moving so fast, and the regulator is always going to be behind. And this is not a unique problem for Nigeria. And the fact that CBN and NIDC are not well equipped to deal with fintech is not a criticism. But we do suffer from a couple of unique issues in Nigeria. To begin with, the CBN attention has really been drawn to financial stability in light of the oil price decline in 2015 and losses from the power sector. And as well, many issues arising from corruption and illicit flow of funds. In addition, our regulated foreign exchange market creates another distraction for the CBN. So the CBN and the NIDC simply do not have the bandwidth to devote sufficient time to fintech regulation. In addition, despite the best efforts of the acting DG, the SEC is not able to move forward on these critical issues because there's no functioning board. We've had several years of no proper framework in the securities market, so CSCS and the NSE have not been able to implement everything that they might have from the fintech space. And many asset managers and investment banks are not innovating because they have no idea of the policy direction of the SEC. So I think this is an urgent need for the fintech community. I know people in this room have put a lot of effort in trying to engage the regulator, but we need more. Before concluding, I do want to talk about blockchain. So I have been a tireless advocate for blockchain for several years now. Of course, I founded Binkabi, I mentioned, which is a blockchain-enabled platform. The reason I have been stressing blockchain so much in many forums is that I really believe this technology can help address many of our most pressing issues. So what is blockchain? It's a distributed ledger. But the purpose of blockchain is to increase the transparency and the accuracy of this ledgers by creating a ledger between parties, relevant parties. So in the case of a university, the blockchain then gives the authenticity to what courses you took, your transcript, when you graduated. It's tamper-proof because, of course, every time you add a block to the blockchain, it's recorded on who did it. And for that reason, we really view so much of our life governed by private ledgers as the blockchain as such a critical technology, particularly for a country like Nigeria, where we have a low trust environment. Essentially, a distributed ledger creates a higher degree of trust between parties that don't have any reason to trust each other. And there are so many use cases. I'm sure you've all heard about all of this, but some of them that are coming on are supply chain verification, including things like the authenticity of pharmaceuticals, verifying clearing and settlement in securities transactions, so people like CSCS and the stock exchange, tax records, FX transactions. So we all heard about the problem. We all heard about the problem with MTN and CBN on FX transactions. If there was a blockchain solution, we wouldn't have had that on that. So for that reason, we really view it as an absolutely critical game-changing technology for Nigeria. And it's already happening. So Interswitch and Dangote have announced a blockchain solution for supply chain financing. I mentioned before, Sterling and Afex have it. Sayso Global has announced a deal with the National Mortgage Refinancing Corporation. And of course, Nigerian Customs was the first group to put blockchain live in Nigeria. So when you think about all of that, it's not a question of is blockchain coming. Blockchain is already here in Nigeria.